As the ancient Egyptian and Two River civilizations and their Indian offshoots were nearing their demise, the new civilizations of the Far East were approaching their cocooning moment. Around 4000 BC, the Chinese super civilization, or mega civilizations, the super group of Chinese civilizations, began to take shape, beginning in the Longshan culture period about 3000 BC, and especially by about 2000 BC, the pattern of the so-called 10,000 kingdoms under heaven, as it is called in the history books, had spread over all the habitable zones of the East Asian continent, and several distinctive culture circles had been formed. Social stratification began to emerge, and jade and bronze ritual objects became a characteristic feature of this period, and burial chambers with large quantities of funerary objects were gradually excavated. These ritual objects are believed to be proof of shamanistic beliefs in ancient times, and political power in Upper China derived from shamanistic rituals, as did the distribution of sentient wealth. The jade ritual objects are indicative of two major themes recorded in the Zuozhuan in the Upper Antiquity period: the ritual and the conquest, and so-called Xia, Shang, and Zhou dynasties of ancient Chinese history were birthed from this period of society and grew into a higher stage, with the emergence of bronze ceremonial instruments, symbolizing ritual, and music and weapons symbolizing conquest, as well as the full development of writing system. The Xia, Shang, and Zhou conquered many of the countries and became the supreme authority for a considerable period of time. According to a relatively recent tradition, Chinese civilization began with a series of cultural heroes, the 3 emperors and the 5 emperors, Huangdi, who first suppressed the various contenders for power, then brought peace to the world and established the norms of governance. Zhuanxu, the Huangdi's grandson, who after winning a struggle for the throne against the Gongong, set up a government assisted by 3 principal ministers, a benevolent and authoritative man, gracious and sincere, and powerful man with a strong sense of justice, and it is particularly noteworthy that he had 4 principal wives, with each of whom he is said to have had a son, who ultimately became the progenitor of the early kingdom of China, Houji, the ancestor of Zhou people, Qi, the ancestor of the Shang people, Di Zhi, the successor of Di Ku, who later proved to be incompetent, and Fang Xun, or Yao, the successor of Di Zhi, who later became one of the 5 emperors. With this one very long sentence, we have traveled through the first 1000 years or so of traditional Chinese history, or more properly, of traditional Chinese mythology. The names in the first sentence have been known to all Chinese since the Han Dynasty, but they belong only to legend and myth, not to history. In Chinese culture, there are no legends of God or gods creating the world from nothing and creating the heavens and the earth, man and beast. The earliest emperor in Chinese legend is Pan-Gu. Some ancient books say that he was born alongside the opening of heaven and the earth, while others say that after his death, his body changed into the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers, grass, and trees. Nowadays, around Guangxi, there are still sacrifices to Pan-Gu. In the existing books, it was first seen in the Shu Yi Ji, written by Ren Fang of the Liang dynasty. When Pan-Gu died, his head became the 4 mountains, his eyes became the sun and the moon, his feet became the rivers and the seas, and his hair became the grass and trees. The Qing and Han dynasties have records that see head into the eastern mountain, belly into the middle mountain, left arm into the south mountain, right arm into the north mountain, foot into the west mountain. All that tears into rivers, breath into the wind, sound into the thunder, pupils into electricity. Also said joy into a sunny day, anger into a rainy day. And another said that Pan-Gu's family have a husband and a wife, the beginning of the yin and yang. At the time of Ren Fang, there was a tomb of the Pan-Gu clan in the South China Sea that stretched for 3,000 miles. There was also a temple to it, and also a place of worship, as there was a Pan-Gu country in the South Sea, and Pan-Gu as its surname. It can also be seen in the 5-3 calendar records and the 5 lakh calendar years records. The Jingzhou Terrier records contain the statement that the birthday of Pan-Gu clan was the 16th of October, from the age page of the books in which this matter is shown. It appears to be a legend formed during the Qing Dynasty. It appears that this story is not a legend of northern China but a southern legend. It is an exaggeration based on a legend of the southern region. The legend of Pan-Gu is found in the book of the later Han Dynasty, 后汉书南蛮传. This is the story of the five-colored dog. At the time of the Gaoxing clan, the Quanrong clan was an invader and could not be overcome despite conquests, so he recruited the whole world. If you take the head of General Wu, the general of the Quanrong clan, you will be given gold, land, and his daughter. As a result, a five-colored dog, Pan Hu, which was owned by Gaoxing's family, brought him here. The Gaoxing clan was overjoyed but could not marry their daughter to the dog and were considering what to do about it. When their daughter heard about it, she thought that the order of the Son of Heaven could not be disobeyed, and asked herself to be the wife of the dog. So Pan Hu accompanied his daughter into the mountains and gave birth to 6 boys and 6 girls in 3 years. The men and women marry each other, and it is said that those who prospered from their descendants became the southern barbarians, the Wuling barbarians of Changsha at that time. It is now part of Hunan province, where the Miao tribe lived in ancient times. When such a shallow legend becomes popular and it is intended to become old, there is a tendency, as the culture of the country spread to the countryside, to endeavor to adopt the legend of the countryside and to place it before the legend of the country that has been formed first. In this way, the Miao tribe legend, which was formed only in the later Han Dynasty, was placed before the Chinese legend of the 3 emperors and 5 emperors, and the order of the legend was attached to it, and reasons were created to say that Pan-Gu were the first, and 3 emperors were the third, and the 5 emperors were the fifth, and that the first was born of the third, and the third was born of the fifth, so that Pan-Gu became the first ancestor of China who opened up the heavens and opened up the earth. When I was in college, the teacher listed the heretic epics of China, but the one she listed was the Tibetan legend of King Gesar. That is to say, forcing the epics of other ethnic groups to be listed as belonging to one's own cultural system is as vivid an example of Chineseism and the idea of ground unification as a legend of Pan-Gu. As for Chineseism, I will place it in the instruction for those interested to see for themselves. After Pan-Gu, there is the legend of Hou Yi shooting down the sun and Nuwa mending the sky in the early post-original era. Legend has it that there were once 10 suns in the sky, and Hou Yi shot down 9 of them with his bow and arrow, which is where the Chinese culture is said to derive that saying that 10 days is a Chinese week, 一旬 comes from. And when Gonggong and Zhuanxu dueled for power, Gonggong had battled Buzhou Mountain, which was collapsed as one of the pillars supporting the vault of the sky. The collapse of Buzhou Mountain led to a rupture in the northwest corner of the sky, and a flood descended, and Nuwa melted the 5-colored stones to mend the sky in its entirety. After Pan-Gu, and it is customary to think of the very earlier emperors as the 3 emperors and 5 emperors, and there exist different sayings. Generally speaking, the 3 emperors refer to 3 of Fuxi, Suiren, Nuwa, Shenrong, and Zhurong. They were the leaders of the tribes in the ancient times and are said to have taught the people various techniques of hunting, fire making, farming, sericulture, and weaving. The 3 emperors area should be the earliest clan society mastered the high technology of making fire. That is definitely a powerful person and lead people to live a good life. Naturally became the leader of the leadership of the people to run a well-off and the pursuit of a better life. Shenrong, also known as Yan Di after the Yellow Emperor. the occasion between Yandi and the Huangdi. First, Yandi and Huangdi in the Banquan War. Huangdi defeated Yandi. Then Huangdi merged Yandi aka Shen-Nong's tribes. Afterwards, the Yellow Emperor aka Huangdi fought with Chi-You's tribe in Zhuolu, and the Yellow Emperor was also victorious. Such as many Chinese ancient myths and legends of the characters are concentrated in this period, such as Chi-You, Gongong,夸父, Xingtian, Leizu, Yushi, Fengbo, and so on. 史记五帝本纪 said, Shen-Nong's world declined. The warring parties invasion and attack, and they cannot win, and the Chi-You's tribe is the most violent. The Yellow Emperor is the expedition division of the vessels and battled Chi-You in the Zhuolu fell, and then picked to kill Chi-You. The more common version of the 5 emperors of the 3 emperors is Huangdi, Zhuanxu, Diku, Yao, and Shun. By this time, it would have been a tribal society and the leader's sphere of influence has expanded. In addition to being embraced and recognized by the people of their own clan, the leaders had to be superior and recognized by their own tribe and other tribes. The historical records, the Chronicle of the 5 Emperors says the Yellow Emperor's first wife, Leizu, gave birth to 2 sons, both of whom had the world. One of them is said to be Xuanxiao, aka Qingyang. Qingyang descended to live in Jiangshui. This is the later referred to as Shaohao. The second is said to be Changyi, descends to live in the Zhushui. Born Gaoyang. Gaoyang is Emperor Zhuanxu. The Yellow Emperor and his royal court developed laws, calendars, and script writing systems. In addition to appearing in the story of 女娲 mending the heavens, Zhuanxu also appears in a mythological legend of the complete separation of heaven and the earth. He and 2 deities, Zhong and Li, completely separated heaven from earth, making it untouchable and unreachable. Rumor has it that the Miao people created brutal and cruel punishments that threw the people into chaos, and after the supreme god, not the god in the Christianity, investigated and found that the Miao people had no mercy or virtue and treated the innocent with no compassion. The first Heavenly Father ordered the near massacre of the Miao people. Afterwards, Zhuanxu sent Zhong and Li to separate the sky from the earth. The sky went up and the ground went down. The people returned to order and morality. There are also rumors that before Zhuanxu and Zhong Li made the heaven inaccessible, probably during the Yangshao culture, every household could employ a shaman or sorcerer, but during the Longshan culture, the instruments of these sorcerers were centralized in the hands of a few people. Zhuanxu died in his 78-year reign, and Diku succeeded to the throne. After the death of Diku, his son was deposed after 9 years of reign, and he was succeeded by the famous Yao. According to the legend, Yao ordered Gongong to row the Yellow River in the 19th year of his reign. In the 58th year of Yao's reign, Houji, the ancestor of the Zhou people, later exiled Yao's eldest son to Danshui. In the 61st year of Yao's reign, when the flood came, Yao ordered Gun to treat the water, and Gun was deposed by Yao after 8 years because he was not able to handle the water well. In the next year, Yao is 70 years old. Yao starts to go through the process of abdicate to Shun, but this process took 30 years in the Zhushu Jinian. The succession of Yao, Shun, and Yu, according to the Confucian legend, was purely out of the public goodwill. The so-called abdication and the criterion were the virtue of the successor. Therefore, even though Shun wished to have Yao's son Danzhu succeed to the throne, the masses of the people at that time refused to allow it. Yao, who had reigned for 70 years, was getting old and began to look for a successor. Various sacrifices proposed different candidates, including Yao's son Danzhu, but all were rejected by Yao. Finally, the chief of the secret mountain recommended a man named Shun to him. Shun was an aged bachelor who was known as a virtuous son and brother. Despite the fact that his father was blind, his stepmother was treacherous, and his half-brother was his parents' favorite, Yao tested Shun by marrying his two daughters to him. When Shun proved to be a sane, virtuous husband, Yao resolved to hand over the government to him bit by bit. Shun took on more and more responsibility, and his ability won him the praise of the world. After 3 years, Yao attempted to hand over power to Shun. Although Shun presided over the ceremonies befitting a ruler, he refused to accept the title. In this way, Yao continued to rule at least nominally for 25 years. In the 90th year of his reign, Yao retired to the Tao land, the place he was first appointed to rule. 10 years later, when Yao was 100 years old, Yao died. However, 庄子道直篇 has Yao killing his eldest son, and 吕览去私求人 both say that Yao had 10 sons, whereas 孟子万章上篇 and 淮南子太祖训 both say that Yao only had 9 sons, much like Yao's eldest son was killed. At that time, there was a crisis in Emperor Yao's central China chiefdoms, and Shun wanted to usurp Yao's throne, so Shun slandered Danzhu in front of Yao and provoked his father-son relationship. Shun persuaded Emperor Yao to send Danzhu to the Danshui Basin, which was farther away from Yao. After Shun ruled in Yao's place, he imprisoned Yao in order to prevent Danzhu from knowing the truth. Shun and forced Yao to abdicate to him, and when Danzhu learned of this, he led the soldiers of Sanmiao to attack Shun, and the two sides engaged in a great battle at Danpu. Danzhu's powerful general Kwa Fu died because of his mistake in entering the large pool, thus losing his important support. On the other hand, Emperor Shun was assisted by Hou Yi, who was famous for his archery. In the end, Danzhu was defeated by Shun, and Shun took the throne. Due to the heavy casualties on both sides of the battle, Danzhu was later depicted as a fierce god or evil god in charge of calamities, and one of his descendants was even called the Beaver surname. If these accounts are true, it is no wonder that Cao Pi later exclaimed that Yao and Shun's deeds are known today.